Sound is perhaps the most taken for granted of our six senses. Don't believe me? Take off your headset and listen to your surroundings. Notice how much depth there is? You can hear the low hum of the wind in the cars in the distance. Maybe there's a bird singing in a tree. And don't forget about all the people making their own sounds. Your PC might be making some noise too, unless you're watching this video on a volcano. Now imagine walking through the city with noise cancelling headphones on. You feel disconnected from the rest of the world. That's how it feels to walk through a game where sound design is lacking. Doesn't feel bad, but you can't really immerse yourself in the game. The world can't convince you of its realism, because it's missing one of our most important senses. At the HKU, many students learn the importance of various elements in a game, such as art, game feel, game mechanics, and other visual aspects. What the school somewhat overlooks is the importance of audio implementation, and I understand why. Where would you integrate such a course? So it's up to the students themselves to recognize its importance. How do you do that? You create an elective module with a vague name and give students an assignment where they can only use sound. And this brings us to Lost in the Forest. This is an audio-only game, meaning that all visuals are left to the player's imagination, similar to reading a book. To demonstrate this, I'll play a piece of the game's audio. After a couple of seconds, I'll start describing the landscape I had in mind. Let's see how close you got. A dark forest, somewhere in Eastern Europe maybe? It's cold and it just rained. You hear the harsh wind blowing through the bare trees, the squelching footsteps, the creaking of wood. Can you imagine it? With just 2 sentences, I've described a detailed landscape to you. Of course, I could have done that without the sound. But with that extra touch, it feels so close that it is almost like you're there. How does the player make more noise? Just like normal, by moving around too much. The easiest way to make noise is by running, and after a while the monster starts chasing, and the player runs out of stamina. When they're out of breath, they make more noise but move slower. So, what can the player do? They can hold their hands over their mouth. Like, really, this is a VR game. VR lets players move in 3D space using their body, making the game feel much more realistic. This neat technology can trick your brain into thinking you're in another world, even without the visuals. We use this by letting the player cover up their mouth when they're making too much noise. The controllers give a little feedback when the hands are in the right spot, and the heavy breathing sounds get muffled just like when you were covering your mouth. By immersing the player in an audio-driven environment, this game demonstrates the power of sound when creating a truly immersive experience. This game challenges players to rely on their hearing and touch, making every sound and movement important to their survival. Imagine the possibilities this opens up for game design, where audio is not just a complement, but a core mechanic. At the HKU, we have the opportunity to push boundaries of what games can be by integrating sound in innovative ways. Let's take this step forward and show that sound is just as vital as visuals in creating a captivating game experience. By recognizing and harnessing the potential of audio, we can create more engaging and realistic worlds for players to explore.